Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! As the oppressive heat wave reached its peak, an unexpected phone call shattered the tedious routine of report filing. Amidst the sweltering office, where even the air conditioning chose this moment to falter, Trenton, entangled in a mess of paperwork, was least prepared for the news to come.
"Oh, Michelle, I hope this isn't a joke,"
he pleaded, his voice tinged with desperation. His eyes scanned the piles of reports, a futile attempt to restore some order. As he awaited a response, a distant sob confirmed the sincerity of the call. "Trenton, it's no joke. Kathleen's bachelorette party needs a new organizer. Her maid of honor is gone, and there's so little time." Michelle's voice trailed off, laden with emotion. Loosening the constricting tie around his neck, Trenton knew that his help was crucial, despite the inconvenience of the timing.
"And what exactly am I supposed to do about it? I'm your brother, not a replacement bridesmaid."
"But you're my organized brother, the one who plans everything to the letter. I need someone I can trust to make sure everything goes smoothly." The desperation in her voice was palpable. Michelle had always been there for him, through college breakups, job losses, and everything in between. He couldn't say no, even if every fiber of his being wanted to.
"Fine. Send me the details."
Trenton pinched the bridge of his nose. "But I'm not wearing anything pink." Michelle's laughter echoed through the phone. "Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll email you everything right away." 3 days later, Trenton found himself in the corner of an upscale hotel suite, checking items off a meticulously crafted list, while 8 women in varying states of intoxication giggled around a coffee table covered with empty champagne bottles. He wore a simple button-down, white shirt, and black slacks, appropriate attire for what he considered his role as behind-the-scenes coordinator, not actual participant in the festivities. His brown hair was neatly combed, and he'd even made the effort to shave properly for his sister's big weekend. "Trenton!" Michelle's voice carried above the music. "Stop hiding and join us!" "I'm good over here," he called back, reviewing the reservation details for tomorrow's spa appointments.
"Someone has to stay sober enough to make sure you all make it to the right places tomorrow."
One of the bridesmaids, Amber, he thought her name was, sauntered over, martini glass dangling precariously between her fingers. "Your brother is too serious, Michelle! We need to loosen him up!" Michelle grinned, her white bride-to-be sash slightly askew. "You're absolutely right. Trent, we're playing Truth or Dare. You have to join us."
"Hard pass,"
he replied, without looking up from his clipboard. A collective "Boo!" rose from the group. "It wasn't a request," Michelle declared, grabbing his arm and pulling him toward the circle of women. "You promised to help with the bachelorette party, and participation is mandatory." Reluctantly, Trenton allowed himself to be dragged to the center of the suite. The women made space for him in their circle, and he sat cross-legged on the plush carpet, still clutching his clipboard like a shield. For the first few rounds, he chose truth, each time, answering uncomfortable questions about his dating life and most embarrassing moments with as little detail as possible. The women howled with laughter at his discomfort, and even Trenton found himself cracking a smile. Several rounds and 2 glasses of champagne later, the game had escalated considerably. One bridesmaid had prank-called her ex-boyfriend, another had performed an impromptu striptease down to her underwear, and Michelle had shared details about her fiancé that made even Trenton blush. When the bottle spun and landed on him again, Trenton instinctively said, "Truth," before Michelle cut him off. "No way! You've picked truth every time. You have to do a dare this round." The women cheered in agreement, and Trenton felt the blood drain from his face.
Fine,
he conceded, setting down his clipboard.
But nothing involving nudity or public humiliation.
The bridesmaids huddled together, whispering and giggling as they concocted his fate. When they broke apart, Michelle's eyes were gleaming with mischief.
All right, brother dear. For the rest of the night, you have to become one of us.
Trenton furrowed his brow.
What does that mean exactly? It means,
chimed in a bridesmaid named Rebecca,
you're getting a complete makeover and joining the Bachelorette party as one of the girls.
The room erupted in excited chatter as Trenton's eyes widened.
No, absolutely not.
Too late, Michelle sang. You agreed to the dare. Now strip down to your underwear. We need to find something that fits you.
This is ridiculous,
Trenton protested, but the women were already rifling through suitcases and garment bags.
Michelle, come on.
His sister approached, her expression softening slightly. It's just for fun, Trent. You've been so stressed lately with work. Loosen up a bit. By wearing women's clothing? By letting go of control for once, she countered. Besides, it's just us here. No one will ever know. Perhaps it was the champagne, or maybe the genuine plea in his sister's eyes on her special weekend, but Trenton found himself reluctantly nodding.
Fine, but no pictures.
The transformation began immediately. After much debate about what would fit his frame, the women settled on a pink cocktail dress borrowed from Rebecca, who was the tallest of the bridesmaids. The dress had a bit of stretch to it, and to Trenton's horror, it fit surprisingly well. Sit down at the vanity, directed a bridesmaid named Jennifer, who worked as a makeup artist. I'm going to need a clean canvas. Trenton obeyed, watching in the mirror as Jennifer unpacked an intimidating array of cosmetics.
Go easy, please,
he muttered. Trust me, she replied, her hands steady as she applied primer to his face. I know what I'm doing. While Jennifer worked on his makeup, 2 other bridesmaids debated wig options they'd brought for a different party game. They settled on a styled brown wig with soft waves that fell just past the shoulders.
Brown hair is definitely your color,
one of them declared, carefully adjusting the wig on Trenton's head after Jennifer had finished the makeup. When Trenton finally looked in the mirror, he barely recognized himself. The person staring back had softly defined cheekbones, smoky eyes that made his natural blue irises pop, and lips painted a subtle pink that matched the dress perfectly. The wig framed his face in a way that softened his jawline, and the overall effect was stunning.
Holy shit,
he whispered, tilting his head to examine the transformation from different angles. One final touch, Michelle said, approaching with a pair of black stiletto heels.
Rebecca's feet are about your size. Try these on.
Standing in heels proved to be the most challenging part of the transformation. Trenton wobbled precariously as he took his first steps, clutching furniture for support, while the women offered encouragement and advice.
Small steps. Keep your weight on the balls of your feet. Imagine walking on a straight line.
After a few minutes of practice, he managed a somewhat stable walk across the hotel suite, earning enthusiastic applause from his audience. Every girl needs a name, announced one of the bridesmaids. We can't call you Trenton while you're looking like that. The women immediately began suggesting names, talking over each other in their excitement. Jessica! Tiffany! Vanessa! I think she looks like a Chloe, Rebecca suggested, studying Trenton's appearance with a critical eye. The room went quiet for a moment as everyone considered.
Chloe.
Trenton repeated, the name feeling strangely right on his lips.
I can be Chloe for tonight.
To Chloe, Michelle raised her glass, and everyone joined in the toast. What started as an embarrassing dare quickly evolved into something unexpected. As Chloe, Trenton found himself included in conversations he would have normally avoided. The women shared stories of dating disasters, workplace sexism, and intimate friendship dynamics. They taught him how to sit properly in a dress, how to adjust the wig discreetly, and how to touch up lipstick after drinking. When the group decided to continue the party at the hotel's rooftop bar, Trenton's initial panic was met with reassurance.
You look amazing, Chloe, Jennifer insisted. No one will know unless you tell them.
But my voice, just speak softly and from higher in your throat, she coached.
And honestly, it's loud in bars. No one pays that much attention.
At the rooftop bar, Trenton was shocked to discover Jennifer was right. No one gave Chloe a second glance, except to appreciate her outfit or smile in greeting. When a waiter approached their table and addressed the group as ladies, including Trenton in the collective term, he felt an unexpected thrill run through him. The real surprise came when a group of partygoers from another event joined their section of the bar. One of them, a woman with curly red hair, complimented Chloe on her dress.
Pink is definitely your color, she said. It goes perfectly with your brown hair.
Thank you, Trenton replied, carefully maintaining the softer voice he'd been practicing. It's actually borrowed from a friend.
Well, you should consider getting one for yourself. Not everyone can pull off that shade.
As the night progressed, Trenton found himself relaxing into the role of Chloe. The constant vigilance and self-consciousness began to fade, replaced by a strange comfort he'd never experienced before.
When he excused himself to use the restroom, Michelle accompanied him to the women's room, standing guard outside the stall with a casualness that made the surreal situation feel almost normal.
Having fun? She asked as he washed his hands at the sink. Trenton caught his reflection in the mirror, the carefully applied makeup still intact, the brown wig framing his face perfectly, the pink dress hugging curves he never knew he could have. He was surprised by his own answer. I am, actually. Michelle smiled, linking her arm through his as they returned to the group. You make a pretty great sister, Chloe. The comment stayed with him for the rest of the night, echoing in his mind even after they'd returned to the hotel suite and the other women had fallen asleep, scattered across beds and pull-out couches. Alone in the bathroom, Trenton carefully removed the makeup following Jennifer's instructions. He gently took off the wig, placing it on its stand. The pink dress went back into Rebecca's garment bag. As each element of Chloe disappeared, Trenton felt an unexpected sense of loss. Back in his white shirt and black slacks, he looked like himself again. But something felt different. He stared at his reflection for a long time, trying to understand the hollow feeling in his chest. It wasn't just the fun of the party he was missing. It was something deeper, something about the way he'd felt as Chloe, authentic in a way he'd never experienced before. He slept fitfully that night, dreams filled with glimpses of pink fabric and the echo of his temporary name. The remainder of the Bachelorette weekend passed in a blur of scheduled activities, spa treatments, winery tours, and a final dinner celebration. Trenton resumed his role as organizer, checking items off his list and ensuring everything ran smoothly. No one mentioned the previous night's transformation, though he occasionally caught the bridesmaids exchanging knowing smiles when they caught him staring absently into space. After seeing the last bridesmaid off at the airport,
Michelle hugged him tightly. "Thank you for everything," she said. "Best Bachelorette weekend ever, and I owe it all to you." "Glad I could help," Trenton replied, his mind still occasionally drifting to the feeling of walking in those black stilettos, the weight of the brown wig against his neck, the freedom he'd felt as someone else. "You okay?" Michelle asked, studying his face. "You seem distracted." "Just tired," he lied. "It was a long weekend." Back in his apartment that evening, Trenton tried to immerse himself in normal activities, checking work emails, watching sports highlights, ordering takeout from his favorite restaurant. But the nagging feeling of incompleteness persisted. On an impulse, he opened his laptop and found himself typing "crossdressing" into the search bar. The results were overwhelming. Forums, shopping sites, YouTube tutorials, personal blogs. He spent hours reading stories from people who had experienced similar feelings, people who had discovered parts of themselves through crossing gender lines. 2 weeks later, a package arrived at his apartment. He'd ordered it using a gift card to maintain anonymity, selecting the items carefully based on what he'd learned worked for his body type and coloring. Inside the plain brown box was a simple black dress, a new brown wig similar to the one Rebecca had loaned him, basic makeup supplies, and a pair of low heels for practicing. That night, Trenton closed all the blinds in his apartment and unpacked his purchase with shaking hands. It took over an hour to apply the makeup properly, following tutorial videos he'd saved. The wig went on easier this time, and the dress fit well enough, though not as perfectly as Rebecca's had. The heels were more manageable than the stilettos from the Bachelorette party. When he finally looked in the full-length mirror on his closet door, Chloe stared back at him. Not as polished as before, but undeniably present. "Hello again," he whispered to his reflection, and felt a wave of comfort wash over him. What began as occasional private exploration evolved into a regular practice. Every few days, when the need became too strong to ignore, Trenton would transform into Chloe, each time improving his technique with makeup, finding better ways to create the illusion of curves, practicing a more natural feminine voice. He ordered more clothes online, everyday items like jeans and sweaters, not just dresses. He invested in better quality makeup and a proper wig stand to maintain the brown waves he'd grown so attached to. His closet gradually filled with Chloe's wardrobe, hidden behind his work suits and casual clothes. 3 months after the Bachelorette party, Trenton found himself sitting in his living room as Chloe, wearing comfortable leggings and an oversized sweater, reading a novel he'd been meaning to finish for weeks. The doorbell rang, shattering his peaceful solitude. His heart hammered against his ribs. No one ever visited unannounced. He considered not answering, but then his phone buzzed with a text. "Michelle. Open up! I know you're home! Your car's outside!" Panic flooded his system. There was no time to change back. The makeup removal alone would take 15 minutes. He could pretend to be out, but his sister was persistent when she wanted to be. As if reading his thoughts, another text came through. "Michelle. I can see your living room light on, Trent. I'm not leaving until you let me in." With shaking hands, Trenton typed a reply. "Trenton. Give me 5 minutes." He rushed to the bedroom, frantically searching for something to wear that might be explained away, but everything in reach was unmistakably feminine. The doorbell rang again, followed by impatient knocking. "Trent! What's taking so long?" Taking a deep breath, Chloe, made a decision. With trembling legs, she walked to the door and opened it. Michelle's expression shifted from annoyance to shock in an instant. She stood frozen on the threshold, eyes wide as she took in the sight of her brother in leggings and a sweater, wearing makeup and a brown wig. "I can explain," Chloe began, her voice higher than Trenton's natural tone. Michelle said nothing, stepping inside and closing the door behind her. She walked past Chloe into the living room, sat on the couch, and finally spoke. "How long?" "Since the Bachelorette party," Chloe admitted, remaining standing, arms wrapped protectively around herself. "I couldn't stop thinking about how it felt to be Chloe. It was like finally finding something I didn't know was missing." Michelle nodded slowly. "So, Chloe isn't just a character for you, is she?" "No." The admission felt both terrifying and liberating. "She's part of me. Maybe the most honest part." A long silence stretched between them. Chloe waited for disgust, anger, or worse, but when Michelle finally spoke again, her voice was gentle. "The brown hair suits you. It's a good choice." Of all the possible responses, this simple observation was so unexpected that Chloe laughed, the tension breaking. "That's what you're focusing on?" Michelle shrugged. "I'm processing. Give me a minute." She patted the couch beside her, and Chloe sat down cautiously. Is this about being transgender, or is it about cross-dressing?" "I don't know yet," Chloe answered honestly. "I'm still figuring it out. All I know is that when I'm Chloe, I feel right in a way I never did as Trenton." Michelle reached out and took her hand. "Then I'm glad to meet you properly, Chloe." Tears welled in Chloe's eyes, smudging the mascara she'd carefully applied earlier. Michelle pulled her into a hug, holding her while she cried. "I was so scared," Chloe confessed between sobs. "I thought you'd be disgusted or think I was a freak." "You're my sibling," Michelle said firmly. "That doesn't change, no matter what name or clothes feel right to you." That night marked a turning point. Having someone who knew, who accepted Chloe, created a foundation of support that made the next steps possible. With Michelle's encouragement, Chloe began researching gender therapists, eventually finding one who specialized in helping people navigate gender identity questions. Dr. Elaine Peterson became an invaluable guide as Chloe explored the complex landscape of gender. After several months of therapy, Chloe came to understand that her identity went beyond cross-dressing. She was transgender, and living as her authentic self would require more than occasional private transformations. Coming out to others was a gradual process. Michelle's husband was next, then a few close friends. Each positive reaction built Chloe's confidence, though there were painful rejections too. A cousin who stopped speaking to her, a college friend who couldn't reconcile the change. At work, Chloe approached her transition with characteristic thoroughness, meeting with HR to develop a plan for coming out to colleagues and transitioning on the job. To her relief, the company had recently updated their policies to be more inclusive, and her immediate supervisor expressed full support. The day Chloe officially came to work as herself marked another milestone. She chose a conservative outfit, a navy pencil skirt, cream blouse, and modest heels. Her brown hair styled in a professional bob, makeup subtle but feminine. The stares and whispers were inevitable, but so were the colleagues who made a point of stopping by her desk to express support. Living full-time as Chloe brought challenges Trenton had never faced. Catcalls on the street, sexist comments in meetings, the constant vigilance required in public spaces. But these difficulties paled in comparison to the profound relief of no longer living a divided life. With her therapist's recommendation, Chloe began hormone replacement therapy. The physical changes were gradual: softer skin, subtle shifts in fat distribution, emotional changes that sometimes caught her off guard. She documented these transformations in a private journal, marveling at how each small change brought her body more in line with her sense of self. 1 year after Michelle's bachelorette party, Chloe hosted a small gathering in her apartment, a rebirth day celebration with the people who had supported her journey. Michelle was there, along with a few of the bridesmaids who had unwittingly helped launch Chloe's self-discovery, including Rebecca and Jennifer, who had become close friends. "I never thought my makeup skills would be quite so life-changing," Jennifer joked, raising her glass in a toast. "To Chloe, who was always there, just waiting to be recognized." "To Chloe," everyone echoed. Later, as the party wound down, Rebecca pulled Chloe aside. "I brought you something," she said, handing over a small gift bag. Inside was a pink cocktail dress, not identical to the one from the bachelorette party, but similar in style and shade. "I thought you might want one of your own," Rebecca explained, "since the borrowed one worked out so well." Chloe hugged her tightly. "It's perfect. Thank you." After the guests had left, Chloe changed into the pink dress. It fit even better than the original had, accommodating the subtle curves that hormone therapy had begun to develop. She paired it with black heels, not stilettos this time, but elegant pumps she could walk in confidently. Standing before the mirror, Chloe saw no trace of Trenton anymore. The brown-haired woman looking back at her was composed, authentic, complete. What had begun as a reluctant dare had evolved into the most truthful expression of herself. She took a photo and sent it to Michelle with a simple caption. "Full circle." Michelle replied almost immediately. "You look beautiful. Always did, but now it shows on the outside too." In the quiet of her apartment, Chloe reflected on the unexpected journey of the past year. There were still challenges ahead, considerations about surgical options, legal name changes, navigating dating as a transgender woman. But for the first time in her life, she faced these challenges as her whole self, not a fragmented person hiding behind expectations and appearances. The pink dress hung in her closet beside other clothes, everyday wear for work, casual outfits for weekends, special occasion pieces. No longer hidden, no longer separated. Just like Chloe herself, who had emerged from hiding to claim her place in the world. What had started as just for tonight had become forever, and Chloe wouldn't have it any other way. The woman in the brown wig from the bachelorette party was no longer a costume or a character. She was simply Chloe, finally and completely herself.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!